So I had mixed feelings going in. I was terrified of psychedelics. I never touched them just out of fear of having a bad trip and losing control. But on the other hand, I mean, I was out of options, so I really had nothing to lose at that point except my life if I kept drinking.
But you had to get over that hurdle, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, but desperation will make you do crazy things. So at that point, I knew all my other options, and I had already tried them multiple times. So I figured, why not try this?
Can you walk me through the process pre-psilocybin in terms of what all was entailed?
So they call this psilocybin-assisted therapy. So yeah. But this wasn't anything new, and that's why it's strange, because the only different part about this is the psilocybin and those psilocybin sessions. But the preparation is extremely important, where the doctors, they figure out, okay, what do you want to get out of this? And they would tell you how to handle different experiences if they came up. So a quote-unquote bad trip, they actually said that a lot of the study participants that had these bad trips actually had good outcomes, and they had lasting positive benefits after these bad trips. So if I had one of these, I kind of welcomed it. So I'd rather get through all this hard stuff in, a few hours and get it over with, and then, live my life, than to live with it for the rest of my life and be miserable for the rest of my life.
So take me to the first session where they administer the psilocybin. Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, but also excited too at that point. I mean, I'd been waiting for another month, just going in every day, let's get it over with already. And so then they had a little blue pill, and I took it and stated my intention, which I think is extremely important, right? You say out loud, or even internally, what do you want to get out of this? Yeah. And for me, it was, I need to find an inner peace. I just want to find an inner peace, calm down internally, and have that go on with me even well after this clinical trial is over.
So your statement wasn't, I need to quit drinking. It was, I want to find inner peace.
Exactly.
So you take the little blue pill.
Yeah.
And then?
And then they give you an eye shade, an eye mask, something you'd get on an overnight flight, and headphones with mainly playing classical music, mainly without words.
Spa music almost.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it gets intense too. Sometimes it's very dramatic music. And I think that, at least for me, it influenced my session. But you put all this stuff on, you lie down on a couch,
right,
and it's not an active psychotherapy session. This is all internal anyway.
Is there somebody in the room?
There are two people in the room watching you at all times, checking your vitals, making sure, and you can talk to them, obviously. They're checking in on you.
Right.
But all the work that needs to be done is internally for the most part. And
they're not sitting there saying, all right, Jon, now let's quit drinking.
Oh, no.
Nothing like that.
No, nothing.
No suggestions on their part.
No, unless you're asking for them. If you're saying, I feel kind of scared right now, right? This is really tough. Or then they say, okay, let's see what it is, welcome it, try to,
That's it.
Embrace it, don't run from it, and, it should be over soon. And so, yeah, they're there to calm you down.
Wow.
But it was extremely helpful, and but really, no, all the work that needs to be done is internally, which is really fascinating.
So the blindfold's on, you have the headphones, the music is playing. And what's happening inside your brain?
So, the first session, I'm just praying, hoping and praying that I get the psilocybin. and because
instead of the placebo.
Yeah, it's a double blind, and half the patients get the placebo, unfortunately. And at first it started to kick in, but I started seeing almost looking through a kaleidoscope, and all these geometrical shapes. But it was tough because the eye mask was on and it was black and white. But I still wasn't convinced at that point. I didn't want to jinx anything. I said, maybe this could be just strong Benadryl, because that's what they were using for the placebo.
Right.
And then finally, when I realized that I got the psilocybin, I was so happy, but within a few seconds, I felt guilty, because if I got the psilocybin, that means I took that from one of the other study participants who's probably just as desperate as I am. So there was some guilt to that as well. So, and that was, I didn't think I'd think of that. We're all there to try to get the psilocybin, try to get better. And I didn't think that would pop into my head.
Was the session over then, or did something
else
happen?
No, it was just starting. I think the first one was I saw a liquor bottle in the middle of a desert, and just nothing's there, just the liquor bottle in the sand, in the desert, and all of a sudden it disintegrates into the sand. And I thought that was pretty obvious symbolism for my alcoholism leaving me. But that's one of these epiphanies or mystical experiences that have lasting impacts on you. So at that point, I kind of felt free from my addiction. And pretty much there, I wasn't 100% convinced, but I remember telling the doctors the very next day, saying, if I left this clinical trial early, and if I left today and never saw you guys ever again and didn't do any other sessions, I would not be surprised if I never had a drink ever again.
After the first
the first session, yeah. And I hadn't had a drink since then.
Wow.
That's still my last drink.
Do you remember the second time the drug was administered and what transpired during that therapy session?
Yeah, and so I think that's when we upped the milligrams a little more.
Of the psilocybin.
Of the psilocybin.
Yeah.
So we made it a little more intense, and that was harder. That was more challenging, but it was more rewarding too. So I'm, forever grateful that we did that.
What was challenging about it?
So a lot of these uncomfortable experiences and challenging experiences were just uncomfortable emotions. So I'd feel guilt or shame, and really it was magnified. And I would think, about my family and how hard it must be for them to be watching all of this happen with sober eyes. I looked at my alcoholism objectively for the first time too. I think that's really the most powerful thing. It's straightforward. This isn't working for you. You want to stop. This isn't, fun anymore. And you're going to live a better life if you just give it up.
That was the clarity.
It was, oh yeah. And so, that epiphany moment too, the visual at least, I had a bird's eye view of myself in real time. So I saw myself on the couch, lying down at Bellevue Hospital, and ironically, this was the most peaceful part of the session, but I saw myself die. And it was almost like a ceremonial death where I saw a sword going, through my neck, and, almost like a sacrifice or something. It was strange. But I saw that as, okay, I'm killing off the parts I don't like, killing off the addiction, the alcoholism, and starting with a clean slate. And, you know, it was almost like starting a new chapter. Like the old me is gone, and this is me going forward now.
All right, so session 3. Did you do a third session?
Oh, yeah. I pictured, you know, I was climbing a mountain, and it was exhausting. And then I finally got to the top of the mountain, and I planted a flag at the top. There was, you know, nothing there. And that was just to me that you got everything, you know, plus some out of what you wanted to get out of this.
So how many years ago is it that you had your last drink?
So seven years ago. This was in 2015 and it's 2022. So yeah, 7 years. And the strange thing, you know, in AA, they tell you to count days. And it's, I mean, that's how, you know, gut-wrenching this stuff is. And with me now, around every October, I'll just come to the realization, I mean, with my sister's birthday, it's been another year that I haven't drank, because it's not something I obsess over. It's just not on my radar anymore.
How remarkable is this?
I mean, I think internally I can't, I mean, it's ineffable. There are no words to explain how crazy and shocking this is. It worked almost like an antibiotic. I was sick, right, with alcoholism. I went in, I took a few of these pills with the therapy, and then I left, and I'm done. I mean,
you're better.
And I'm better, yeah. And it's a permanent, you know, fix. It's crazy.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.